back, ladies and gentlemen, the Tantalus Systems channel, empowering the electrified future with smart grid solutions targeting utilities. Joining us as always, Peter Londa, the Chief Executive Officer. Welcome back, sir.
Kyle, great to see you. Good morning.
And always a pleasure to have you back on, especially with a lot of these news articles coming out that I find relatively fascinating, talking about the utility of the future as we're kind of living through an electrification and decarbonization of everything, obviously being largely data driven. Kind of give us some insight on how Tantalus System is integrating with utilities for this future and just kind of the forefronted conversation that we're having here.
Yeah, you got it, Kyle. So we were excited to launch an article this week. It's available on our website. It's called The Utility of the Future. And what it is intended to do, and the purpose of the article is to really help define what the fundamental issues facing utilities are today, and truly through the power of data, how utilities can be not only better prepared, but ultimately proactively making changes in the immediate term to assist their communities and become more sustainable. And so when we take a quick step back, right, a couple of the challenges that we've talked about and that are highlighted in the article, right, if you think about it, in today's world, we're asking utilities to prepare for the electrification of everything. And what we mean by the electrification of everything can be really narrowed into the transportation industry. Right? Look at the onslaught of automobile manufacturers that are in a race to convert their fleets to electric vehicles, right? With some of the largest in the world committing to do that by 2035 and make electric vehicles mainstream, not only for consumers, but also at the industrial level. At mass transportation, buses, school buses for that matter. And so if we just look in the United States relative to the projected adoption rate of electric vehicles, it's expected that the amount of power required in the US alone will double between now and 2050. Right? It's a massive change. While utilities are being asked to prepare to increase the amount of power to ultimately charge the vehicles and charge transportation, in addition to everything else that we electrify in our homes and in our businesses and the buildings that we work in or go to every day, right? Utilities are also being asked to decarbonize their industry. And with the Biden administration in the United States, right, there are calls to decarbonize the utility industry by 2050. So think about that. Utilities have to double the amount of power that they deliver by 2050 and simultaneously decarbonize their business by 2050. Right? That's a paradigm shift in the way utilities have to operate in the future. Add to the complications of the increasing and really tragic extreme weather events that we continue to live through here in 2022. Right? Regardless of people's position about climate change, the fundamental facts are that we are seeing an increased number of extreme weather events that lead to property damage, loss of life, and extended outages. And so from our perspective and relative to where we're focused, the purpose of our organization, as we continue to try to educate and certainly secure more utilities, is to help utilities transition not only what we refer to as the digitization of their grid, right? Transforming the grid that we rely on every day, but ultimately make a bigger transition. It's from becoming and transitioning from a traditional power company ultimately to a data company. And a lot of what we do is focused on helping utilities count every kilowatt, every electron that they deliver, and ultimately pick up the contextual data, consumption and power quality data that aligns to every kilowatt. So in a nutshell, Kyle, what the article lays out and where we are focused is helping utilities not only count every kilowatt, but also count and have access to every corresponding kilobyte of data. And it's our view that for utilities to achieve the electrification of everything and the decarbonization of everything, they got to ultimately track kilowatts, and they got to track and have access and analyze kilobytes of data. And that's what we do.
Yeah, I think this is incredibly profound. I mean, you guys are not only building the systems, but running some of the analytical tools. And I mean, you're currently sitting on, over 40 million in assets, of which 12 million in cash against the current market cap on your stock of 52 million, which in this current downturn and this kind of tumultuous market that we're living in, what kind of value proposition can you kind of just offer some insight on to the investor or the viewer that might just be stumbling into this?
Yeah, absolutely. So for investors or for our shareholders, if you believe that electric vehicles will become adopted, if you yourself have an electric vehicle or you're thinking about purchasing an electric vehicle at some point in time, you have to not only think about the electric vehicle industry, but you also have to think about what does that mean for the reliability of the grid, your power company that will power that vehicle. Right? Worst case scenario, it would suck. You go out and you buy your electric vehicle, you're really excited about it, and then you plug it in and there's no power. Boy, that's a problem. Right? So for investors that see that shift and are investing behind it, we think Tantalus creates a great, compelling, and complementary approach in an investment thesis around electric vehicles and electric vehicle charging. Because without the power and without the visibility to what's actually where power needs to be delivered, how much power needs to be delivered, and when it needs to be delivered, those electric vehicles don't ultimately get driven. So we're a great complementary component to those investors that are really thinking about strategies on how to monetize this change in the transportation industry. And I'd say, relative to our current position in your highlight, our balance sheet is as strong as it possibly is. I understand, there are forces out of our control in terms of the way small cap and micro cap tech companies up on the TSX are trading today. We've fallen into that. But from our perspective, we create not only a compelling investment thesis, but at current levels, a very attractive entry point for investors, given how strong our balance sheet is, given the market opportunity in front of us, and given our management team's track record of executing on our business plan to continue to scale the company. So I'll let investors do their own analysis. Certainly, I'm opinionated as an investor and shareholder of Tantalus and as the CEO, but we really think we're in a very good spot, regardless of how things unfold in the economy. Utilities spend money, recession or not, utilities are going to be investing. So we think we're in a really interesting position and create a great opportunity for investors looking for value and looking for long-term growth.
And on that note, Peter, I'm going to leave the link to that article in the description below. Consider subscribing because as more news comes down the wire, of course, we'll update you here. And we always love to know what you guys think in that comment section. But on that, stay cool, stay awesome. And as always, I look forward to catching you in the next one.